Nothing much.
Okay, guys, we are live.
Sweet.
Is that Slave One again there, Spence?
Yeah, I was going to work on it again today. Mainly just varnishing, a little bit of chipping. But let's see. Find my Zoom.
Not sure I'm going to need these decals yet. Very nice.
Oh, that is nice.
There you go. There's some chipping in Slave One. So,
Hey, Eric.
if anybody's watching and interested, be sure to stop by the Hot League International community and check out Star Wars Group Build Thread.
Yes. Absolutely, because that's what Spence is working on right now. So I finally, after waiting 6 weeks and then finally canceling it and ordering off of eBay, have my decals for the F-16 interior.
What, did you try to order them straight from the company and you couldn't get them?
I ordered them straight for the company, and they sat there for 6 weeks in Moscow. Or at least they were tracked for 6 weeks in Moscow.
Well, that's always nice.
Yeah, love that. I don't know if you guys... Oh, I just realized. I'm smarter than I thought. I took a page out of Spence's book and have my keyboard there in the middle of the screen, and it covers the bright light.
Nice.
I do it because I don't have any room.
Well, see, that's the thing is, as we've been talking about on Discord, I think I have entirely too much room.
I would be happy to have that problem.
Yeah, I agree. I know what you're saying. But, Donnie, at one time, I had a space about the size of yours, maybe a little bit smaller. But as kids have moved out, I've gained more space. I'll be honest, I'm very interested to see how these decals work, because apparently they're on decal paper, you know, the decal film, and then they 3D printed on top of that.
Nice.
I mean, it literally says on some of them, lift the decal off the paper and super glue it down.
Really?
Yep. Where is? Oh, and I want to say, I think it was Shu. Might have been you, Donnie. Somebody on HLI suggested this, and I think this is a really cool way to keep your decals.
That wasn't me, but it is a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, down here I've got leftover decals from the, I think those are from the TIE Fighter, yeah. I don't remember who it was. It was quite a while back. So, yay, I finally get to work on this thing. I only have, let's see, what is it? April now, so about 6 months before it needs to be done for that group build. By the
That shouldn't
way,
be a problem. You've only got what, 10 projects going now?
something like that. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the video, but I showed this bucket of clamps here. This is less than half my clamps.
Oh yeah, the one you just put out, I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That thing's gonna be huge when you get it done.
it is. That was one of the reasons that I never bought it. You know, when it was out in the 80s. But then when it came back out, I was like, that's mine. I have to have that. And I think it'll go look really good right next to the Saturn V.
It is a sweet looking kit.
It is. Well, hopefully the shuttle kit inside of it, because it's literally the way they break up the instructions. It's like 4 separate kits, 3 or 4. It's, you know, you got the tower, then you've got the tractor that carries the shuttle. It's 4 because you got the shuttle, and then you've got the booster tank and the or the tank and the booster rockets. You know, hopefully, because I've seen some shuttle kits that look really, really rough when they get done. Hopefully it's got a decent shuttle kit in there. And of course,
The Revell shuttles can look pretty nice, but they take a little work.
yeah.
Everything doesn't just line up.
Cool. Eric sold his PC today, and he's picking up his laptop tonight.
Nice.
So he's out of business right now, but he'll be back in business by tonight. Yeah, I've actually never built a shuttle kit before, so I jumped in the deep end.
I've built 2 of the Revell ones. I built one when I was a kid, and then I built one, I don't know, 6 months ago.
So Shu's not going to make it. He's still setting up his
She's not gonna make it.
Shu. Mark's not making it because he's still figuring out how to set his setup for the camera and laptop on his work table.
Ah.
It's easy. You just tape the laptop to the ceiling and be done with it.
Or do like Spence does and just set it beside of you.
Yeah. Of course, or you could be like me and have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras right now, and a fifth, or 3 cameras, 1 cell phone, and a fifth in standby. Fifth and sixth, actually, if I consider my normal cell phone that I use all the time.
I've just got one of those $4 bendy arms to hold your cell phone clamped onto the shelf at the front back of my desk, holding my phone up.
Yeah, well, that's what I've got holding this one up. And then I've got another swing arm deal on the other camera. Just out of curiosity, let me see something. Because I know that last week I tried and I couldn't. I'm going to see, oops, wrong one. Too many windows open. I'm going to see what cameras I have available. Cool. I actually have all of them available this time because I went into Discord and set up my cameras to for Discord to turn the cameras off if I'm not using them.
I need to do that.
It is very helpful to do that.
You did that in Discord or OBS?
That too, OBS.
I was gonna say, I didn't know Discord would do that.
Dude, don't confuse me with the facts. I was about to say, did Eric steal my sprue cutters? But Eric hasn't been here. So the wife and I have pretty much decided that, at least right now, we're not going to be moving to Alaska like we were kind of contemplating. But who knows what's going to happen 5 years in the future.
Oh, that's just too cold.
Well, see, that's the thing, is right now, for me, I don't care one way or the other. I mean, I enlisted in the Air Force what is it? It's 2001, so almost 35 years ago. 34 and a half years ago, I enlisted from Eielson. So the cold doesn't bother me. You know, it's one of these things of you can always put on more clothes.
True, but I choose not to have to do that.
Same here. But, you know, and it all depends on what part of the state you're in. If you're in Juneau, on the Panhandle, it just rains for, like, ever. You know, get up in like February and it's raining and it won't stop raining until May. Then Anchorage is a wet cold. Fairbanks is the best, although Fairbanks gets the coldest weather. You can guarantee at least 2 weeks of 60 below or better in December time frame. Yeah, but once it hits 30 below, it doesn't matter. It's just freaking cold. Difference between 60 below and 30 below in, you know, feeling wise is negligible. But when it, well, unless it's going from 60 below to 30 below overnight, bunch of stupid college students out in shorts and swimsuits sunning themselves at 30 degrees below zero. What were we thinking?
I'll pass.
We actually did that. It went from overnight. It went from 60 below to 30 below, and we were all just out there in shorts and, you know, shorts and t-shirts and everything, just enjoying the sun. And then about 5 minutes later, you realize, wait, it's still freaking cold.
Well, that's like my brother used to drive, and I went to Texas with him one time, and it was about 55, 60 degrees. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and everybody else was walking around with jackets on and stuff, and I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny to see people from different parts of the country, how they will react to temperatures.
Yeah, to them, 55 or 60 degrees was cold.
Yeah. Well, it was a big to do. I mean, for those of us that lived in Alaska when. Okay, here I go. I'm dating myself here. When the Love Boat went to Alaska, and Lorne Green was supposedly from Alaska and had grown up there and everything else. Yeah, all of us that were from Alaska, when we watched it, or everybody in my family at least, when we watched it, we looked at him, how he was wearing this big heavy jacket and everything, and we're like, he's not from, it's not even good how he's doing that. Because it was in the 50s and 60s, and he's wearing this big, thick jacket.
But then again, you know, even if he was from Alaska, how many years has it been since he'd been back to Alaska?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that I still, to this day, I'm not as acclimatized as I used to be, but I'm still pretty acclimatized to the cold. I still don't wear as much as most of the people I know when it comes to cold weather.
I don't either, but that's Tennessee cold, not Alaska cold.
Yeah. Well, the only difference really is how humid it gets.
The only difference is 30, 40, 50, 60 degrees colder?
No, not really. It gets colder here, for the most part, than it does in Anchorage. Anchorage was where I grew up for mostly, and very rarely did it get down below zero.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's a marine climate. Anchorage is right at the end of that inlet, and if you think about it, the inlet also has the winds coming off the ocean shoot up that inlet and blow the moisture up into Anchorage itself.
That's true.
I mean, it's really funny, depending on the direction of the wind. They have these tides up there that the wind, you know, because the tip of the inlet where the ocean meets the inlet is only a couple of miles across, and if the wind is blowing down the inlet, what'll happen is it will hold the water at bay for a certain amount of time, and people are warned that if, you know, at low tide, you have to be very, very careful, be very aware of what is going on in the water, because when the water finally hits, you know, builds up to a height that it can break through the wind, you'll get a 4-foot wall of water running 100 miles up the inlet all the way to Anchorage, and people have lost their lives because they're out there where they're on not dry, but they're out there on the sand on the beach, and suddenly that 4-foot wall of water comes, and there is no stopping it.
Tsunami!
Basically. So let me see.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just looking right now at what colors it is calling for this seat before I assemble it. And of course, this being a Hasegawa kit, it has some interesting color callouts. You know, instead of A, B, C, D, it's H317. Which is, you got H317, it's in Japanese, it's in English, multiple languages, might even be Chinese there on the end, but H317 is gray, just gray.
Oh, come on, Buck. It's the old, you know, the old H317. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, exactly, it's gray. Didn't you know?
Yeah.
An H80, just because, let me see. That's funny. So according to the instructions, the seat cushions there are supposed to be khaki green, which is correct actually. But the decals are black, so I'm going with the black. H26.
Well, see, on the color call outs for this B17, some of the seats are brown, some of the seats are dark green.
This is gonna, the first decal I'm gonna put on is not gonna be the seat because, oh no, I'm gonna put the seat covers on first. Because the coolest decal I have, if you want to call it a decal, is the D-rings. And those are actually supposed to be sticking up, and you know, so it's going to just have that little tab at the bottom that's going to be attached to the seat.
Those little 3D decals are cool.
They are. I just hope they work as well as I want them to. I was about to say I expect them to, but I can't really expect anything yet. That is some nice detail. So, on this is the back of the seat, the rails for the Aces 2. And here on the bottom here, it actually has the hydraulic cylinders to slide the seat up and down.
Nice.
And then that rod that runs here is actually what the rocket motor is, the guide for the seat leaving the aircraft when the rocket motor underneath it fires.
That's cool.
That is some impressive detail.
Somebody did their homework.
Uh-huh. So don't have to peel anything or sand anything off. I'm going to glue this and then I'm going to paint it. Then it has to sit for like 4 hours before I can do anything to it. I do have to say I did enjoy working these airplanes.
It does sound like a fun job to have.
Oh no, dropped apart. No carpet here, tile. And dog. That was what I was more worried about. It was a lot of fun to work on them as a avionics troop. And like I've said before, the worst part about the job was the people who were not worried about fixing the airplanes right. They were worried about cutting back on swing shift and being, so they could go home. I enjoyed working the airplanes. Just because. Oh, wow. When you guys get a chance later, you need to look on Discord. Omar's patio is done, or at least 90% done, and it looks pretty cool.
It was looking pretty good last time we put it on there.
Well, now he's got the outer ring around it, and then he's got a ring in the center as well.
I think last time he posted, he had the outer ring done. I don't remember about the inner ring.
Well, he had the outer ring with there was 2 bricks deep. Looks like the outer ring is about 4 bricks deep now.
Really?
Yes, like I said, it is really cool looking. And I just asked him when he's coming over to do mine. That's nice. He's actually In the center where he's got the red brick, he's actually putting a fire pit. So this year or next year, we're lugging my grill to Kenny's house and then to Omar's house. Even though that entails like I don't know, between the two of them, that's 2 to 3 day trip each.
I was fixing to say both of those in 2 to 3 days would be like, hey, I'm here. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, we're going. Omar has his patio done now, so we're going to Omar's first. We're waiting for Kenny until he has his pool.
Fool, he hasn't even got the house done yet.
That's okay. He's got plans. My wife wants to put in a pool too. I'm like, oh, really? I guess he's not coming over to the house to do my patio because he said his back is saying no further pavers. You know, guys, this is the first airplane I've built in forever. Probably about 30 years.
This is the first one I've ever built that's this big.
That one's not that big.
Biggest one I've ever built.
Let's see. I'm just looking around. Yeah, because I've got the same model, I think. B-17G from Revell.
Yeah.
And I think it's 172nd, isn't it?
No, 148.
Is it? I know that I've got a Revell, what is it? Airbus 400 military version. I don't remember if it's 148th or 172nd, but I know that the box for it is about the same size as the box for the space shuttle.
Really?
Yes.
That's gonna be a big ass plane.
Uh-huh. That's why my wife sometimes she looks at the stuff that I have in the stash and she's like, where are you going to put all that? And I'm like, somewhere. It's all you need to know is it's going to go somewhere.
What's when you just look at it and go, details, details.
Well, she actually likes when I have the larger scale models because then you can actually see what's going on in the model.
Right. And I agree with that because, like on those little Corsairs that I've built, you spend all that time, you know, painting the inside of the cockpit and stuff. Then you put the plane together, you ain't seeing that.
You mean like this part on the rails?
Yes.
All that is going to be here. Right here against this bulkhead. Not going to see a bit of it.
But you know it's there.
Exactly. The one detail that's on here that it's kind of funny that they put that detail on here. Let's see. So that, hang on, that little bottle right there is the only thing that doesn't get painted gray. It gets painted green.
Oh, really?
Yep. And that little
Everything
green,
else, right?
yes, that little green bottle is the oxygen system for the seat, the emergency oxygen system for the seat, so that when the pilot, you know, or not when, if the pilot has to eject, that bottle is what keeps him on oxygen while he's in the seat. You know, if he ejects at like 30,000 feet, he's probably going to pass out before he gets to 18,000 feet. 18,000 feet being the, well, maybe not. I wasn't egress, so I don't know, but he may actually stay with the seat until he gets down to 18,000 feet. Because the seat, these little parts sticking out from the headrest are pitot tubes. You know, they're air data tubes for the seat.
Yeah.
And probably what those do is they do the air data for the seat until it gets down to the level that the pilot can actually breathe, which is 18,000 feet. And that's when the drogue chute will come out for the seat, for the pilot to separate from the seat.
Well, I know whether I have oxygen or not. If I had to punch out of a plane at 30,000 feet, I would probably most definitely pass out before I got to 18,000 feet.
Most of us would pass out at the still at 18,000 feet. The pilots go into the altitude chamber to train to be able to take that level of.
But if I punched out a plane at 30,000 feet, I would probably pass out from just sheer terror.
The 10G, the 10Gs might do it for you too.
That too.
But no, the pilots get trained to be able to stay conscious up to 18,000 feet. You and me, above 10,000 feet, we are out. Because the airplane maintains the F-16 at least, maintains a cockpit pressure of, the ambient pressure until it hits 18,000 feet, and then it maintains 5,000 psi, or 5,000, 5 psi above ambient.
I was fixing to say 5,000 psi would be a little rough.
Pilot goes up to, everything's fine.
Down in the ocean.
Well, everything's fine until he hits 18,000 feet, and then the airplane just goes, boop, jelly.
Happened to Bill. He was crushed at 18,000 feet.
I just realized there. I had my camera pointed a little bit further in. So is anybody else's hay fever kicking in?
Yes.
Not yet.
See how you are? Have to be special, don't you, Spence?
Well, I just had to be.
Okay.
Go ahead, Spence.
That was it. I'm just special every day.
Ah.
See, I just had to be an idiot when we bought this house and planted a Bradford pear tree in the front yard.
Is that the only thing? Is that the only thing that is getting you with pollen?
That's the main thing.
We bought this house. When we bought it, it had 3 trees in the back and a pine tree on the side. We've now planted. On top of that, we have 2. What is it? Cherry blossom trees. One in the front, one in the back, and 2 mutant apple trees. Mutant because it's kind of cool what they did. They spliced. I think it's a Brayburn Central trunk, and then they spliced in cuttings from 4 other trees. So we have 2 apple trees. We have 2 apple trees that give Brayburn, Fuji, Red Delicious, Yellow Delicious, and I don't remember. I think maybe Golden Delicious apples. It's just that they are not old enough yet to really do anything. They've been in there for 2 summers now, and the largest apple we've gotten off of them is about that big.
Wow.
But they are very good apples. And what's funny is the older of the 2, they were planted about 3 months apart. The older of the 2 is less advanced than the younger one. But I looked at where the trees are and told my wife that's because the younger one gets about 2 hours more sun. The older one sits in the shadow of the house.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yep. Well, it's funny because we moved the garden boxes so we have some square areas in the yard that have to grow back. But these are staying where they're at this time. And we moved them and she's like, what if we put them here? I'm like, the sun will shade them all day long. You won't grow anything there. So we finally figured out where we're going to put them. They're in place. 2 of them are full of dirt, and we have to put a bunch of dirt in the others. It was kind of fun moving the dirt from one to the other, especially at one point. There was because it's all store-bought dirt, so it's all, Miracle Grow. But somehow last year, at least one worm, I say at least because that's all that's there, and I'm guessing he's the only one. One worm got in there last winter or last fall when I moved the dirt. Wintered in the Great Miracle Grow, and I took him out yesterday. Came across him, and I was like, "That's not a bad worm." If I was actively fishing, I'd have put him in a bucket and kept him. Because he was literally this long.
Really?
Yeah. And most of the worms we have around here are about that. They're about 2 to maybe 4 inches.
So Miracle Grow works on worms too.
Yes, it does. I took him out of there,
Yeah.
and my wife was like, ugh. I got all nervous. I'm like, what? What? She hates when she sees worms, when it rains and the worms come up and they're on top of the concrete.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's even funnier is when they're there after the rain and she's just like, ugh, freaking out a little bit because it's there and it hasn't found. The ones that don't find their way back down under the concrete are the worst because you come by a couple of days later and they're like sticks. She's picked up a stick before that turned into a dead worm, and she's like, ah.
That wasn't a stick.
It's a dead worm. That's why anytime, sometimes creepy crawlies bug me too, so anytime I'm out there working in the yard, I'm not touching anything. Even when I'm not touching anything, I'm just doing the lawnmower, I have a pair of gloves on.
Really?
Yep. That way I don't, that way, especially with 4 dogs, That way I don't inadvertently grab onto something I just don't want to touch.
My dog has his certain areas that he likes to fertilize.
Yeah, so do ours. It's called anywhere on the back side of the gate, or 2 gates, because we have a gate on either side of the house. And the whole area is fair game as far as they're concerned. Come on. Hopefully the glue's still enough liquid that it'll grab hold.
Alright, so sprayed the shipping medium, now comes the colors. Colors.
So I wasn't watching your screen. When you do the chipping medium, do you just do it in spots?
I'm just doing it over everything. It's just if these were big parts, I'd probably do that, but these are small enough. I'm just spraying everything.
So he's
It comes out kind of a, I don't know if funky is the right word. It sprays sort of halfway between a mist and a splatter. But some level's pretty good. So
you're not.
but it does self-level quite nicely though.
So it spreads over the entire part. Then what do? Just go back with a.
I just don't. You go back with, so what I'm doing now is the video I've been following with this, I posted up on the HLI community. Spray the chipping medium, and you give it about enough time to flush out your airbrush. Spray your colors on top. Give that about enough time to flush out your airbrush or however long, as long as it's not like hours. Then you spray your color. After you spray your color, you let it set for a few minutes. Then you just let it down to water and just start peeling paint. So it's very quick.
I may have to try that if I ever get to the point where I'm actually weathering things. Usually I don't weather very much.
Well, this is my first attempt at chipping paint, so.
Well, so far it looks good.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this stuff. I mean, I was going to try salt chipping, but to be honest, it's much faster.
And well, something like the Slave 1 wouldn't look right if it wasn't chipped like that.
Exactly.
We can always caught the Slave 1 before Boba Fett got a hold of it.
Well, then that'd be Jango Fett's Slave 1.
Right.
I think it had a little bit of chipping too, not as much.
Just where he hit his head. That is a very snug fit there. Wow.
What?
So I'm looking at some of these decals and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I'll stop. Pretty. Never have. I thought about getting some for this P17 and then I found this photo etch. Cotton hidden details. Like $6 or $7 on eBay. So I figured, $6 is better than 30.
Well, this wasn't bad. These decals were $30.
Yeah. See these photo etch, I guess. These six
That was how much?
$6.
$6? That's not bad. But no, what I'm looking at on some of these, because I was trying to figure out where these parts go here, and as far as I can see on the pictures, they actually go inside. Let's see, where's the, there it is. They just go inside the airframe up in here. But what's amazing to me is that first you put on these sidewalls, and that little tiny piece right there, marked 24, right at my fingernail, that is the canopy unlock, or canopy lock, that locks the canopy down and pressurizes the ring. And then you have these little bitty armrests that actually stick out from the sides.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this going, wow. It's got some belts for the seat. So the first thing I got to do is take those seats over and find. I need to use a gray paint, and I probably need to airbrush it rather than use a rattle can. I like rattle cans. I'm sorry, I'm a bad person. But the rattle can is going to put. My guess is how tight these fit down into the tubs here. A rattle can is going to put too much paint in there, and I'm not even going to be able to get the seats in there. And it is very tight. Of course, that means filtering paint and everything else. Unless I can find something in my pre-mixed sprayable paint. Here's the paint that I won from Kenny during one of the monthly auction or one of the raffles. Gray blue. Of course, what's funny is it looks like on the on what they're showing for the decals, they're putting the decals straight on the plastic.
Right on there.
Wow. Okay, that's insane. So that right there, let me move over. That part right there is the side stick controller. And I have a decal for the head of it.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't think that will ever be seen, but
No, it won't. But I'll know it's there.
Alright, first word of caution for chipping medium. Spray your color coats very thin at first. If you overwhelm it with too much paint or moisture, it will try to crack.
really,
Yeah, I had to spray in thin coats, then dry, spray thin coat, and dry.
But aren't you trying to get it to crack?
I want it to chip, not crack.
Oh, okay. Oh, and now if
I wanted that. If I wanted that, I would have got crackle medium.
well, there's that. If you ever buy these these type of decals, though, speaking of warnings, there is a warning on the decals or on the sheet that says, "Do not use these."
Oh, really?
Yes, it basically what'll happen is the 3D printed portion will dissolve and you'll have nothing.
Oh. I thought it would, like, detach or something. But...
No, it'll just dissolve. Well, it might detach as well,
Okay.
but it'll dissolve the decal. So at that point, it doesn't matter if it's detaching or not.
Yeah.
that would be bad.
Would be very bad. Okay. Let me throw this on the bottle shaker while I look for other paint. I think this might end up being the paint. thinking the ammo by MiG, gray, blue. But I'm thinking the gray, Craft Smart gray is going to be the actual color. What do you guys think? Knowing that the bottle... Huh?
No, the gray blue looks a little more blue. Like, it's kind of hard to see, but...
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about this is that I have 2 bottles of the Craft Smart, and the parts of the exterior of the plane will match the interior as well. You know, like the nose of the plane before you get to the gun port is actually just a plain gray as well. So I think...
Well, then I'd probably use the Craft Smart.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is Craft Smart wins, which means, yay, now I got a filter paint. Be back in a second, guys. I gotta find a bottle to filter it into.
All right. Have you ever played Craft Paint Sticks?
Like what?
Craft Paint?
I think, yeah.
Do you filter yours?
Usually I try to. What I like to do is just, usually just pour it into a big old, like, Dixie cup or something, and then just filter the entire bottle.
Never actually bothered to filter it. So far, knock on wood, I haven't had a problem.
If I would, have you like sprayed your soap?
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, some paints are going to be chunkier than others. So.
I usually use the .3 needle when I'm spraying craft paint because it's a little thicker.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go any lower than that.
Some car doesn't have to get one any higher than that, I don't think. .2, no, I think that is.
I just,
0.2, 0.3.
hold on a second.
Let me go shake this up. The way you had that, Donnie, it looked like you were spray painting a Q-tip.
Spray painting a what?
A Q-tip, because the Q-tip on the bench.
Oh, yeah. You mean you don't spray paint your Q-tips?
No, I usually use them to wipe paint off instead. I mean, it gets the job done both ways. I mean, you get paint on the Q-tip. Hey, John.
Man,
Not sure
I've
how
been
long
doing
you've
it
been
wrong
on.
all this time.
I don't think it's wrong. It's just different. By the way, John Paul says hi, guys. I just happened to look over at the YouTube. And we have, our audience has grown to 1.
All right.
Hey, wait a minute, where's Eric?
I think he's the one.
Oh.
Maybe. I know. I poke fun at Eric every now and then about he started this thing and then doesn't even show up to watch anymore. Okay, I just realized I've lost my mind. I set paint on the paint shaker and didn't turn it on. So Donnie, kind of sounded like you've never sprained your paints before when I came back in from the garage.
What?
It kind of sounded like with you and Spence talking that you've never strained your paints.
I
The only reason, the only thing I do it with is these Craft Smart types because,
Right.
and I picked this up from Boyd because there's so high quality of paint in here. If you don't, it's going to clog your airbrush.
Well, that's what I'm telling Spence. So far, knock on wood, maybe I've just been lucky. But I've never had a problem with it clogging my brush.
With craft paints,
Right.
what do you thin them with?
Airbrush flow improver.
Oh, do you use one drop of flow improver or do you use a bunch of flow improver?
I use this.
Yeah, same stuff that you use 1 or 2 drops with any paint. How much of it do you use it with? Or do you thin your craft paints with?
I have to use more than I do with other paints because other paints are already thinner.
Yeah.
But I just use that until I get it to the consistency that I want. Right? So far, knock on wood, no problem.
Yeah. I use the
Now,
I use water, and sometimes I have a bottle of it. I don't use it very often because I've heard it will destroy your needle. Sometimes I'll use Windex.
well, Windex is not going to hurt me. It may hurt
I
you
wouldn't be-
see.
I wouldn't be too worried about that. Most window cleaners like 5% ammonia by volume. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
You soak your airbrush. Okay.
Main thing I would worry about is ammonia is a solvent. I would just be worried about it, screwing with the paint.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried about like the brass and nickel that most nozzles tend to be made out of. Ammonia has been done to etch brass.
Yeah. Well, I usually like my acrylic paint. Whoops. Shot that off into nowhere or into parts unknown. I'm actually trimming a piece of sprue so I can help this stuff go through the filter. But I usually thin it with water.
I've been with water before, but I just like the way the flow improver helps the paint lay down a little smoother.
I'm going to add some flow improver, a couple drops to each cup.
I use like water little bit of over and some like airbrush medium, like acrylic medium. And it makes it behave a little bit more like paint and less like glue.
I've never tried the airbrush medium before.
Yeah. Well, see, Donnie, like with this filter, if I was to use your higher quality paints, like the ammo or something like that, your thinner paints, this stuff would be going through just really quick. But because
that crack paint's thick.
yeah. Well, it's actually a two-part process that I do, because first I'll run it through the filter, then I'll thin it in this jar, and then I put it in here for safekeeping for longer use. And because of the fact that I've got 2 bottles of this stuff, it's cheap, and I'm going to use it for other things, I'm sending a whole bottle through this filter today. And I'll lose about a quarter of it in the filter.
Did you get it before you ran through the filter?
No. I'll probably get some water in this bottle here and add it on top when I've got the last of the paint out of the bottle. I mean, it took it a while to start, but let me see if I can switch cameras. Should be that one.
I can see it on the camera if you get.
I didn't like that one. And it's not liking that one. Yeah, you can see it, but what you can't see is underneath how slow it's flowing. It didn't actually start flowing until the filter paper was most of the way filled. And I have to be very careful about how much I put in there, because right now where it's at, it's about to go overflow the paint filter. Brand new bottle of paint, straight through the filter, whole thing.
What's that?
I said a brand new bottle of paint, whole thing, straight through the filter paper.
Make use cheapo Logitech webcam.
Huh?
My spray booth cam.
What about cheapo Logitech webcam?
I said I finally found a use for it. It's my spray booth cam.
Ah. You know, I would do a spray booth cam, but my spray booth is about 15 feet away. But it's a lot closer than when it was in the garage.
Yeah, my spray booth is about 3 feet away.
I've seen your setup. Your spray booth, if you fall over to the left, you're in the spray booth.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing here. Here's my hand, but I'm actually in the spray booth.
Oh, you put the camera in the spray booth.
I put the camera on the spray booth.
Ah.
It's on the side of my spray booth pointing onto my desk.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
I had my spray booth on the other side of the room, but I got tired of, I need to spray these 3 parts. Run over there, spray them, run back. Oh wait, I forgot to spray this one. Run back over there.
Well, do you have carpet or tile floor?
I have wood lamp.
Well, that's just as good as tile because, then what you can do is just roll.
True.
And I just realized what I should be doing while this paint is not running down onto the desktop. And I'm going to take this and the remnant that's in here, probably about a quarter of a bottle, I'm going to add some water to it, shake the shit out of it, and then I'm going to use that to get the rest of it through. But what I should be doing is, not sure which method is going to be better. All these gauges and dials and everything that are on here have got to go. Well, not gauges actually, or dials, it's just buttons. Wow. That's funny. I didn't know which one was the front seat and the back, which one was the front and which one was the back until just now, because they look almost identical. This one is the back, this one is the front, because this one's missing a whole bunch of panels.
Whole bunch of what?
Panels.
Oh.
I've already scraped some of the ones detail off here, but if focus. So you see all those detailed buttons on there?
Yeah.
The other one has about half of those missing.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to, because the back seat is just a rider unless the pilot lets him take over the airplane. And then even if the back seat has control of the airplane, the pilot has a switch that he has to hold to well, let me put it this way. Both seats have a override switch from the other cockpit, but the one in the front has a more of an override than the one in the back, because the one in the front is where the main pilot's going to be sitting if you have 2 actual pilots and not, somebody just getting a ride or a trainee.
Yeah, master.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this down to where the panel detail is gone. That should work, maybe a little bit more. So if you look, what I did on this panel here was I sanded off all the buttons and knobs, but still leaving the shadow of the panels there so I know where the decals go.
Yeah.
Just so quiet today. We must all be painting.
Yep.
Kind of sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yep. So I just added water to the what was left of the paint in there, in that bottle. I'm going to put it on top of this, and hopefully everything will, or a majority will go through.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I know I'm going to lose paint no matter what. With craft paint like this, I don't mind losing some of the paint. You know, when it's $1 to $2 a bottle, not a big deal.
Right.
But if it's like $5 a bottle, I'm like, I really hate losing that paint. Of course, on the other hand, I don't filter that paint. That's funny. Not only did it change the consistency, it changed the color.
Oh, it changed the color?
Just a little bit.
Some of the pigment must have been ground pretty coarse.
Yeah, that's why you do this to the craft paint. And I've had issues with craft paint before. That's why I do this.
Well, like I said, maybe I've just been lucky, but I've never had those issues, so.
Yeah. And it's the point where I gotta lift up the filter. And with what these filters cost, it was like $15 for 100, I think, or maybe it was 50.
Yeah, you gave me a link to them one time.
Yeah. Actually, after adding the water, I'm getting a pretty decent amount of paint back. And the paint that's actually coming out of the bottle now, that I thinned it, is about perfect for brushing, for airbrushing. I'm gonna have to move this filter. Didn't quite make it. I think I actually got as much paint as I need out of that bottle. Because it is literally the bottle I put it into is full.
That's good.
There's still a little bit left in here. I'm just going to close it up. And write thinned on the bottle so that I remember that it's already thinned out. Man, my handwriting's atrocious. Sonata C. I'm not going to be able to do it. I was going to say Sonata C if I can put the top on, but what's going to happen if I do that is I'm going to dump paint all over the workbench.
That one will be good.
No. Fortunately, I have a trash can right underneath so I can pour off a little bit and then wipe the side. No, almost got it without anything running down the side. Wipe off the side using old paper towels that are in there. And hope that this does not, hope it doesn't leak while I shake it. And for my next trick, I'm going to pour from this bottle into this bottle. Wish me luck, guys. I'm about to put this thing on the shaker, and I'm hoping the lid doesn't fly off.
Well, if you put it on good enough.
I tightened it down, but you know how things go. This is actually the first time I've ever done a full bottle of paint. Because usually I only do a little bit. Like, let me see. Oh, yeah. So, Batman. This is Batman's face in here.
Batman's face.
Yes. Well, I did the Batman.
Oh, gotcha.
And see, over the last year, it has dried out some. Don't know how many clumps would be in there. And then, oh, I'm out of camera. Guess I will be using a little bit of Windex. Because Batman's face in the yellow. I don't remember where it went on Batman, but I know it was Batman on the Batman build. That yellow was thinned for that build as well. Or filtered, actually, and then thinned. And if you ever hesitate, you know, if you come across them and you hesitate to buy them, I keep.
What's that?
These pipettes.
Oh, yeah.
I bought a box of 500 of them in 2013. And I think I have about 475 still in the box.
Really?
Yes. One box of 500 it can be equal to a lifetime supply. But on the other hand, it's just like we bought in 1996. I remember this because we lived in Phoenix when we bought this thing of zip ties. We bought a can of 500 zip ties. And we used the last of those zip ties in California right before we moved here 2 years ago. The second jar that we bought of those zip ties has not lasted as long. It's about halfway gone by this point.
Really?
Yeah. It's because it's the joy of zip ties, man. You can use them on everything.
You can.
So I'm cheating. I'm not going to try and pour.
Why not?
I don't want a big mess.
But that's the fun.
I know. Actually, the fun part about using acrylic paint this way is that this jar that I'm taking it out of right now, in a couple of days, I'll be able to clean this jar, not using any water or anything. I'll just peel the acrylic out.
This is true.
And you can even see after the thinning, or I can't see it on camera probably. On the outside of the pipette, there is some clumping of the paint. You know, if I'd have just painted this with a brush, I'd be done.
True. But now you have paint prepared.
This is true.
I mean, I could say the same thing if I'd have just painted those two guns in that little casing with the paintbrush. I'd have been done and wouldn't have realized my airbrush really needed to be cleaned out.
I didn't see. Is that the ball? I see the ball turret there. Is that what you're talking about that you painted?
Yeah, I painted this with the airbrush. And
I saw the guns.
These two guns. Focus. Painted the two guns. And I painted the framing on the ball turret.
Wow. With an airbrush? You're good.
No, I did that with the brush, regular brush.
I know that.
I love this AK Interactive Extreme Metals. That is so much better than just silver paint.
That is. Your metallic colors are always better than the silver.
Okay, where was I? Putting the current together.
I think you were right there behind the camera. Or below the camera.
Below the camera.
Not too bad. I am half tempted. Let me see where it's sitting.
Only half?
Yes. Was sitting rather well upright where I could pull it right straight back out and put the rest of this paint through it because, or at least part of it. No! Shit! Damn it! Grabbed the wrong one. So I just put straight separated paint medium from craft paint in there. I thickened it up a little bit. Felt a little bit heavy, but I'm gonna put the rest of this thinned out paint through. And finish that bottle. Finish filling that bottle.
So you unthinned your thin paint?
Yeah, pretty much. Not even the paint. I put not even paint in. I just put the carrier medium straight in. I squirted it and it came out clear, and I'm like, the hell is that water doing? Oh.
Shake the paint first.
Well, actually, with this, I should not shake. It would have been realize that you picked up a full bottle instead of the one that's already been pre-thinned. Shouldn't be too big a deal.
Germs, we shall try our hand at chipping once more.
Try your hand at Chippy. What?
No.
That was a quick answer. No.
No. How about no? No Chippy for you today.
You're no Chippy.
So let me put yellow lidded bottle under the monitor where it's out of harm's way, and I won't knock it over into anything.
You hope.
Yeah, you're right. You know, it's just like the whole thing of nothing is foolproof nothing is foolproof because fools are ingenious. Yeah, best laid plans of me, off time go awry. Put that underneath the modern monitor, and for some reason, within the next 20 minutes, I'm going to have to get something out from underneath that monitor. So I just did a very me thing. I look down. Well, I look down here, and I see a cockpit tub here, and a seat, and not really recognizing that there's a cockpit tub with seat here, and I'm like, where the hell is that other cockpit tub?
Oh, I've done that so many times.
It's just like, where the hell is the blue tape? I can't find the blue tape. Hey, Eric, are you back or have you been here the whole time? He said that we need a set of Chippy emojis. We do.
Is Eric in the YouTube chat?
Yes.
There it is. It just updated.
So he must have just now said something, and he must be the number 2 that popped back in, because we've had one person the whole time.
He was in earlier.
A little bit of chipping.
Not bad.
Nice. I'm gonna have to try some of that stuff.
Don't be.
Just for giggles, I'm going to try
There's
something.
only one other piece where it wanted to crack a little bit. Like, seems like the more curved the piece is, the more it wants to crack. Like, almost like a surface tension thing.
Man, that ain't right.
But for the most part,
He was watching a movie. We're better than any movie, man. What movie were
Watching
you
a
watching?
movie on the live stream on, that should be a crime.
Yeah. What movie were you watching, Eric? That way we can make fun of you. I mean, you missed some exciting stuff, Eric.
He was probably watching a Disney movie with Goofy in it.
Yeah, probably. You missed some exciting stuff, Eric. You missed me filter paint. It's got to be
It's the next
almost
best thing to watching paint dry.
exactly. That's where I was going. He's not responding. I think he's gone to sleep. And I've discovered that if you open a YouTube channel on your own live stream, it doesn't increase the number of people watching. Damn it. Although I bet you if I opened it on my phone, it will.
Well, I had it open on my laptop.
Oh, you have the stream open on your laptop?
Yeah, so I can watch the chat, and then I forget to watch the chat anyway.
So you're the one. You're the one who's been watching the whole time.
You.
I am the one.
It was him the whole time.
Wait, we're up to we're up to a third person.
Uh-oh.
It ain't me.
I've always been told this back up when you start talking about yourself in third person.
The buck says. Just for giggles.
What are you gonna do? Open it on your phone?
I am. Got to get those numbers up, man.
Mine still says 2 watching now.
Oh man. You know what? Eric
Say YouTube account.
Eric gave up on us.
I think he did. He never asked your question about the movie.
Nope, and we're back down to one person watching.
Mine still says 2, but
I was gonna ask if he was watching Galaxy Quest or something.
You should be watching something like that.
I don't
I mean-
think he's seen a quest yet.
Yeah, well, I gave him homework of watching Galaxy Quest a long time ago.
But did he do his homework?
No, he didn't. Hey, look at that. Back up to 2. That's me. I'm watching on the phone.
Yeah.
So just for fun,
Buck is IP spamming.
well, hang on.
Hey, just for future reference, Buck, if you're gonna cheat the system, don't do it in front of the camera.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is I just closed everything down. Now it should bottom out again, down to you.
I don't know, maybe because I have the video itself paused. Mine still says 2. Hey, I'll refresh.
So maybe it actually was somebody else. Mine still says 2. It hasn't bottomed out yet.
Yeah, mine still says 2.
Silly things we do during the live stream.
Right? Hey, I built a ball turret.
Hey, that's cool. So hopefully this is thin enough to airbrush with. I'll find out in a minute.
Now, I need.
So I'm going to mute my mic for a second, for a couple minutes, guys, because I don't think you want to hear airbrush and the paint booth and everything else going on, even though it is the other side of the room.
Hey, you should just get one of these cheap $20 mics like I got. It does pick up air compressors.
Well, see, that's the problem. I didn't get a $20 mic. I got an expensive one. Somebody, we'll call him Kenny, suggested that I get a really expensive mic. We'll call him
Yeah, he
Kenny.
told me that too, and I was like, nope.
Well, no. See, probably different guy. We're just calling him Kenny. We're not saying that it was Kenny.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, actually, Eric's back. It was he said to blame Spence.
Yes, Spence.
So, what movie did you tell Eric to watch, Spence?
Oh, we watched Galaxy Quest.
He probably didn't. All right, like I said, go on mute.
Start fighting run. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm chipping paint.
Exciting stuff. We're chipping paint slightly off camera.
Yeah, I know. I need concentration on this.
I kept doing that in the spray booth. Like I'm spraying and oh wait, camera's over there. Okay.
I mean, you can't really see anything. I'm just so
Right, get the toothpick. That's on the flat screw. This thing has 3 seats that are all number 56. But one seat has, no, 2 seats have a P on the bottom. 1 seat has an L on the bottom.
I do not know.
Numbers. Now I need 9L and 9R. Not on this screen. Not on that screen. Not on that screw. Maybe on this screw. No, where are those pieces?
more paint.
That's coming out pretty good, Spence.
Yep. This is some good stuff.
Isn't there one you have to chip through like 2 layers? The pink and the white?
Yeah, I did that on skirt. What I did is
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I painted the off-white, then I just hand brushed on the ink where it needed to go, and then chipped the darker red.
So you want to put the pink on where it needed to be.
Yeah. I didn't feel like doing a whole other layer of paint and waiting for it to dry and all that nonsense.
And having to chip through 2 layers.
Yeah, just taking twice as long and
There they are. Of course you put the seat braces on the wing screw.
So, note to self, don't thin in the airbrush.
Don't thin paint in the airbrush?
Yeah, it doesn't work very well.
That's what I usually do.
Well, I got too much paint in there, and I've got the, I put a bunch of flow enhancer. And by the time I got it to where it would actually flow decently, the cup was almost full. So when I would have it blow back through to mix it, it would just shoot little bubbles of paint everywhere. So like I said, note to self, don't thin in the airbrush.
my problem is like when I move the airbrush, sometimes paint will splash out and get all over me.
You need a cap on the resin.
Yeah, I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to do that.
Oh, you can see here
I
how
don't know
much
my.
paint
my
is still
cat.
left.
Oh,
That's after I actually over soaked those seats. So like I
A
said,
little too much there, bud.
yeah, so like I said, note to self, don't thin in the airbrush.
If you do thin in the airbrush, put the flow improver in first because that's the thin part.
I did.
Then put the paint in to bring it up to the thickness you want.
Well, I put the flow improver in first. And then I put in the paint, and I put in a little bit too much paint. So then I followed that up with the Windex, and then it was party. So now I got to put some airbrush cleaner through the brush and get the airbrush clean. And hopefully it won't gum up. I don't think it will though. It's the one thing about those battery operated all-in-one ones that I think Shu's using now.
Oh, the little airbrush?
Yeah. So, the fact that you can actually take it down, take the cup off, is huge because you can get down inside there a lot easier. And of course,
Well, see, that's what I like about the Badger airbrushes. Because the way they're made, they have a huge opening down in there. You don't really need to take the cup off.
yeah. Well, so does this. This one does as well.
There are airbrushes. There are airbrushes. I think it's Grex and Neo for Iwata is the cat the actually boot screw off.
Well, and here's
Yeah, I have to take the cup off sometimes on the Iwata because the hole down in there is just tiny.
oh, and here is my. Look at that. Nothing but quality here.
master airbrush. Probably
nothing,
about the same as this Iwata.
nothing but quality. So Eric said that he would tell us what movie he was watching the day after tomorrow, or he was watching the day after tomorrow. I'm not sure. You never know with Eric.
This is true.
Okay.
I don't think I know that movie.
It's pretty good. I think
Is
it's...
that the one with Dennis Quaid?
I was going to say it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I don't think it's Schwarzenegger, but it's all about global warming.
I think it was one with Dennis Quaid.
I can't believe Eric quit watching the live stream for a movie. I mean, really.
Yeah. I mean, really, we are entertainment at its finest.
What does Steven Spielberg have on us?
That was almost ugly.
Sounded ugly.
Is that the movie where the ship went out to some other planet or whatever, and then came back and the world had like collapsed?
Now that's the one with where because of through global warming, you get these super cold spots of weather where everything like instantly freezes. Or wait, no, day after tomorrow. Duh. Day after.
Yeah, that's it.
Day After Tomorrow is the Schwarzenegger movie, but it's a different one than what I was thinking. Let me double check. I think it's where they had they call it a 6th day violation when somebody's cloned.
I think that was actually called The Sixth Day.
You're right, because Day After Tomorrow is the one I was thinking about, where water comes into New York City and then instantly freezes.
Yeah, I think science there's the North Atlantic current shuts down because the water's not salty enough anymore or something.
No, it's where it's a climate disaster basically. Starts
Yeah.
out with somebody in the USSR. His station freezes solid. I mean, like super cold to where. Well, in the New York part, they have to get in the center of the library and they start burning books just to keep it warm enough.
I remember that now.
It's kind of funny. Eric's just listening to us all talk about this movie, not saying anything.
Then he just watched.
Yes.
And not commenting at all. Maybe he just stopped in to tell us what movie he's watching and then left again.
No, we're still at 2, so I think he's still there.
But we were at 2 before Eric showed back up.
Please, Eric, give us some validation.
He said it's funnier this way.
Probably said, these guys are boring. He said it's funnier this way. So Eric is laughing at us while we're laughing at him.
Everybody's happy.
Exactly.
Goofy cam, Buck. Goofy cam. Yeah, we don't want to run him off.
Get the Zoom going here.
No, we're not using Zoom. We're using Discord.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is supposed to look more like a splatter pattern.
That looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Don't move it yet. I'm across the room playing with an airbrush.
Trying to get
Oh, I
the
like
glare
that.
off of it. That's it's a
That looks
Could
really
have just
cool.
put some paint in the airbrush that was really thick, and then
There is one thing about a $15 airbrush. If you fuck it up, you just throw it away and buy a new one.
true.
Oh, damn. There went our PG rating again.
I hate when that happens.
That might make the stream a bit more interesting.
Yeah, true. It does.
Good thing about buying a Badger airbrush though is if you fuck it up, you just send it back to Ken and he'll fix it.
There is that. But I'm wondering, how many times can you fuck up that airbrush before he says, "Can you buy somebody else's?"
Yeah.
I will give you the money to buy a different brand of airbrush.
What magnitude level of stupid can you hit before it's just too late?
How did you even do that?
I didn't know the pin would go in backwards.
What's this thing? Oh, that's the needle packing? You need that? I thought that was just like some kind of shipping thing. Anyway, I was going to say, back when Donnie was talking about putting paint through his Sotar, I broke down my Sotar yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I've been looking for a detail brush because my Talon is approaching a decade old, and it is starting to show signs of wear and tear. So,
The
I already have
Sotar
an
is a very
Eclipse.
good detail brush.
Yeah, I already have an Eclipse that I'm using a lot now because I bought that to replace my Talon when it started to go, but that's not really that good of a detail brush. So I bought
Where
a
did you
Sotar, and the
get your
Sotar,
Sotar?
I got it straight from Badger.
Ah,
I got the one with all three needle sizes, 0.2, 3, and 0.5, I think. So
yeah. Yeah, that's the one I bought.
yeah. I was waiting to see spray gunner would get it back in stock, but they never seemed to. At least not the 3 nozzle set.
That's who I got mine from, Spray Gunner. And I liked it so much, I ended up buying a second Sotar just so I could put the .3 needle in it and just leave it.
Like the Talon, I mean, I'll still use it for like the big fan cap, but it's just not quite as good as it was as a detail brush. It's the performance is starting to go. So
I'd like to have one of those Talons just for the spray cap. The fan cap.
yeah, it's a good brush. I mean, I don't know what the quality of the brushes are now as compared to a decade ago.
Well, the fact that 10 years later you're still using it and it's still for sale speaks volumes for that brush.
That's true. And they're American made too, like Badgers. So.
Right.
You know, a smart man probably would have glued the seats in and then painted both the seat and the console gray.
Possibly.
Guess that means I'm not that smart. Nice, Spence.
More chipping for Eric if he was watching.
No, I think we're back to just Donnie watching.
Eric hasn't said anything since he said it's funnier this way.
Right, and then we dropped from we went up to 3 and then dropped to 1.
I'm beginning to question YouTube's number counting because oh no, mine says 1 now. Never mind.
Don't question YouTube, it's your computer.
Oh, my bad.
So yeah, once those chairs dry, that's why I didn't do it. I was gonna say I'm gonna put the chairs in, you know, the chairs into the cockpit tubs and then do the paint. But there's why I didn't do that, because there's a bunch of decals that go onto the chairs once they're in there, or seat, ejector seat.
Okay, fancy chair.
Yes, exactly. Fancy chair that goes straight up. Actually, not straight up. It goes up and back to the right. On this one goes up and back to the right. The other, or one goes up and back to the right. The other one goes up and forward to the left, at a very high rate of speed.
Can't possibly imagine why you would need to go at a high rate of speed to eject from a fighter plane.
Yeah. Okay, Spence is back. It looked like he had been attacked by the gods of bad internet.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I think he just hasn't refocused since he was showing us the chips.
No, he was all green and pixelated. Martians were attacking him.
Oh,
If they're attacking me here in the foothills of Appalachia, they are going to be sorely disappointed.
Maybe they're looking for moonshine, man.
we're looking for banjos.
They're looking for the Banjo Kid. Deliverance.
Ironically enough, I'm close enough to Pennsylvania and Maryland to where we don't really have either. Here.
It's kind of funny. I've only seen that movie like 2 or 3 times, but everybody knows that part with the kid.
Was it Deliverance, Georgia?
I don't remember.
Might have been. All I remember,
Georgia.
all I remember is that these guys were fucked up really, really bad.
Oh, what was his face? Finding him in the river, like, all contorted and crap. Oh man, what was his name?
You thinking Burt Reynolds?
No, it was one of the other characters. They found him in the river with his arms and legs were like all messed up. I can't remember. It's been so long since I saw that movie. Be right back. Gotta grab some reference material.
Just fake it.
That's what I do.
Same.
No, and what's funny is, depending on the model, like the shuttle, I didn't like the color they had me painting it, so I went and found instructions that told me to paint it the way I wanted to.
If you don't like the way the instructions work, find other instructions.
Yep. Well, the original instructions from 1 billion years ago say to paint it one way. See, Spence is all green and pixelated again. But
Oh.
No, it's not.
No, he's not. But the original instructions say to paint the inner tower red. They don't tell you what to paint the outer tower though. And the new instructions say to paint the inner tower white.
Maybe they changed the way they were painting the tower somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Well, they have actually several times. The interesting thing that I realized about this, that tower, the launch tower, is that it has changed extensively since they did the moonshot. I did not originally realize that was the same tower.
SpaceX even uses it now.
Yeah, you see that in my video.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't realize that the launch tower for the shuttle used the launch tower for the Saturn V at its core.
You didn't think they were going to build a whole new tower, did you? Come on, this is government funded.
Never thought about it, to be honest. But I think it's really cool that they did that.
Somebody said, hey, guys, we could do more stuff if we just use a lot of this stuff we already got.
Yeah. What I still think is funny is that all of them, they put all of them together in a large facility about a mile away, and then they have to drag that thing on that monstrous caterpillar thing.
5 mile an hour crawler.
Exactly. Go 6 miles an hour, all kinds of alarms sound. And I just think, something as large as the Saturn V, what the hell do you do if there's a big wind that comes up?
Pray?
I'm not sure whether to be irritated or entertained by this.
What's that?
So let me see if I can get the details, get it up close enough. So this is the rear cockpit, front of the rear cockpit. And that in the center that sticks out, there's details enough that I can tell that should be a fire control nav panel, which is off of the F-16D or B, not D.
Well, I think they're really hoping that most of the people that buy their model were not flight line mechanics. So
Yeah. Well, see, here's my problem. This decal right here with the 2 screens has to fit where that one screen is sticking out.
well, you're going to be sending that one screen off then.
Yep. But I just find it interesting that, when you have, and I understand it's microscopic detail, but when you have that kind of an error on something like this, it's kind of funny.
That's probably not an error. They probably had a model of that version, and then they came out with a newer model of the newer version. And yeah, we're not gonna change that. Nobody will see it.
It was a oversight by an engineer, and that's good because we can all hate engineers just like Spence.
Right, Spence?
Nah, I won't. I won't do a hand gesture to break more feet for teammates. Anyway, this is an excellent reference for Star Wars.
I've heard of that book.
Like this for the Slave One. Can't even get it all in frame.
Nice.
Just a wonderful reference. Where the Bandai kit color guide is telling me this is what I'm using.
Huh. That is.
It's got, it doesn't have everything in here. It's got a lot of really, really good stuff.
Don't make me get out my reference for the Titanic. I finally bought a reference book for a model.
And it's the Titanic.
Yes. That's it.
I would have never saw that coming, Buck.
Well, what's funny is I'm actually reading it because I haven't gotten to the full-on modeling portion. But hey, look, a model maker's manual.
Nice.
There you go.
This is the. I want to say that the model that the guy, we saw it right there. The guy that wrote this or co-wrote it or something, I think he was actually the modeler that built a 1/48 scale model of the Titanic.
Jesus.
Yeah, and this is the guy that he wrote off of that.
Did he build a new house to put his model in?
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's the one, there's one, I know there's one that tours, it's like 20 foot long. I don't even know if it tours anymore, but I think that's the one that he built. No, it's 20 foot long model and it is very detailed.
That's a big model boat.
Yeah. Makes my little 200 scale 5 foot long one seem small.
That's nothing.
Or I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but the Enterprise refit that makes rounds on the internet or on Facebook every now and then, that somebody had for sale in Canada.
Oh yeah. Bought out of somebody's yard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
That 6 foot long model. First thing you think is, what would I do with that? And then the second thing you think is, I don't care, I want it.
Right. And he had a GoFundMe page or something trying to raise money to redo it.
Yeah. Well, and if I remember right, the first time I saw the post, it was one of these things, it was sitting in the front yard and it wasn't for sale, it was just get it out of here. The wife hates it, make it go away.
That would be freaking cool to have.
It would.
A 6 foot Enterprise refit.
Yep.
There was one guy on Facebook that was building an 11 foot TOS Enterprise.
Jesus. What would you do with one that big?
I don't know. He was building it in his garage.
Well, you know who Steve Neal is, right?
Yes.
He's built 3, I think, of the 6 foot ones. And he scratch built 3 of them. And I believe that one of them actually is in the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian contracted him to do one for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They have the original filming model.
Yeah. Well, and at one point, he was selling spots where you could actually see, they would 3D print you and put you inside of one of the little windows. That would be really kind of cool.
See that? That's me right there.
It doesn't look like you. And who's that woman you're with?
Oh, that's just Yeoman Rant.
You sleeping around with every ranch laborer you come across these days, man.
Yeah.
The benefits of being on a starship.
Yep. The benefits of being James Kirk.
See, everybody says that. But if you watch it, he only slept with like 3 women.
He only
something else.
he only slept on screen with like 3 women. Off screen, if it moved.
What was his name? Who played the female Klingon in Star Trek 5? Was she a wrestler? Was she? No, she was a bodybuilder. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Like the really muscular female Klingon. What was her name?
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember what her name was.
When they cast her, she originally thought, "Oh, I'm going to be Kirk's girlfriend or something." Before they even told her what her part was, like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to be Kirk's girlfriend or something."
So I went to the Google and I'm looking. Are you sure it was Star Trek 5?
The bodybuilder, the Klingon lieutenant on the. Yeah, Star Trek 5. I don't remember her name.
Oh, let's see. She would have to have been on. She'd have to be the Klingon ambassador, or
No, she was on the Klingon ship. She was the one. She was the muscular female. She had like the short hair. I'm gonna have to look that up now. It drive me nuts.
well, so that's the thing is I'm on full cast and crew on IMDb for Star Trek 5, and I'm not seeing them call out any any significant number of Klingons.
Maybe she didn't get a named spot in the credits. Maybe in the credits she was just like Klingon number 4.
That's what I'm saying is it doesn't say anything. About any Klingons.
Just use Google. Vixus was her name in the show. Spice Williams, that's who it was.
Oh, saw Spice Williams and okay, so Vixus.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me Google Spice Williams. That doesn't sound like a wrestling name, by the way. It does sound like a different.
No, she was. I think she was a bodybuilder or something like that, or. Actress, stunt woman, stunt coordinator. I thought she was like bodybuilding or something. I could be wrong.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're right because there's some, when I Google.
Yeah, she's also a famous bodybuilder and a vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
And the bad thing is, if you look at some of the more recent pictures, you can see that she's had work done to her face and it did not come out well.
Yeah.
Ah, at 2 o'clock, Eric had to drop out and he's sitting with the kids. I just looked on Discord.
Ah,
Speaking of
he's
which,
hiding his comments.
yes, he just doesn't love us anymore. He doesn't love us any less, but he doesn't love us anymore. And speaking of which, guys, wife texted me a little bit and asked me if I could come upstairs, and I said I'd be there in a bit. And as long as the weather holds, I need to get out and mow the yard before. The backyard is, I mowed it 2 weeks ago, and it's up to about 8 inches, maybe a foot. The front yard
Mowing is optional.
Huh? Yeah, well, it is behind the fence, but yeah, the front yard is like, front yard's fine, backyard, the dogs, and that's why I got to mow actually, is the dogs walk out there and like, dude, that's up to my nose.
It'll be okay.
So, I am going to go ahead and kill the live stream here.
Alright, well, let me first show anybody who may be watching what's I've managed to do today. Let me get the focus going. I'll put pictures up on HLI, of course, but
Nice.
Yeah, that is very nice.
yeah.
And I've managed to paint 2 parts and cut 6 parts from the sprue.
Excellent.
I built a couple
Actually-
of turrets.
Actually, no, more than 6, because each of those chairs are 4 parts. So, yeah, significant progress has been made on the F-16. And Spence
At
is
this
out.
rate, you should be done by the end of next year, Buck.
No, I have to be done by November.
Have to be and will be, though.
Yeah, there is that. So first things first.